Arthur Robert Ashe Jr. was an American professional tennis player who won 3 Grand Slam singles titles. Arthur Ashe was born in Richmond, Virginia, to Arthur Ashe Sr. and Mattie Cordell Cunningham Ashe on July 10, 1943. He had a brother, Johnny, who was 5 years younger than him. Both brothers were born into a family that claimed direct descent from Amar, a West African woman who was enslaved and brought to America in 1735 aboard a ship called the Dodington. Arthur Ashe lived a life of achievement coupled with discipline. After his mother's death when he was 6 years old, he grew up in a home strictly regimented by his father. He graduated with honors from college when he first studied architecture, but later switched to business administration so he would have more time for tennis. All his life, he was a shrewd businessman with a great capacity to enjoy both the business of sports and sport of business. He became an international tennis star and was the top-ranked men's player in the world in 1975. He became the first black to break into the all-white world of tennis. Early tennis teachers required Ashe to have impeccable manners on the court so that whites could never accuse him of meanness. He once wrote, "I want to be seen as fair, and honest, trustworthy, kind, calm, and polite." His favorite piece of advice for children was, "Don't do anything you couldn't tell your mother about." At times B was accused of being cold or aloof, but Ashe preferred the term controlled. He strongly believed a certain amount of detachment was necessary to be a good tennis player and in control of his game. Rather than respond in anger to the bigotry he experienced as a black tennis player, he adopted an attitude of, "Well, I'll show them." The only time Ashe was known to lose his temper was at a 1975 tournament in Sweden. His opponent's racial taunts became unbearable, and he walked off the court in protest, defaulting the match rather than responding in anger in public. Even given the opponent's bad behavior, Ashe continued to consider the man a friend, and he invited him to his wedding. At a benefit for the United Negro College Fund, Ashe met his wife when she asked if she could take photos of him. He married photographer Jean Mautusami, who later gave birth to their daughter Camera. Ashe was a devoted father to his daughter. With Camera, he regularly visited poor families on Christmas Day to give away toys, including a few of Camera's new ones. He was a man who required very little quantity in personal luxury, but chose maximum quality. At the time of his death, he owned only 5 suits and 5 pairs of shoes. As an activist in the fight against social injustices, he was even willing to be arrested during protests. He also sought to work within the system, and served on a number of corporate boards. After heart surgery in 1983, he contracted AIDS from a tainted blood transfusion. This transfusion had come just 2 years before blood was routinely tested for HIV. Rather than withdraw from public life after his diagnosis, he continued to accept speaking engagements to publicize the realities of AIDS. He addressed the United Nations on World AIDS Day in 1992, just months before his death. He once said that while he had great joy in being a professional athlete, the purest joy in life comes from trying to help others. Much of Ashe's life was riddled with unfairness, but he rose above injustices and bad breaks with a true gentleman's attitude. Ashe was the first black player selected to the United States Davis Cup team and the only black man ever to win the singles title at Wimbledon, the US Open, and the Australian Open. He was ranked world number 1 by Harry Hopman in 1968 and by Lance Tingay of the Daily Telegraph and World Tennis Magazine in 1975. In the ATP computer rankings, he peaked at number 2 in May 1976. World changers find problems and address them even though it might cost them. God is still in the ministry of affecting lives through people. Make yourself available. You can be a world changer. Thank you for watching, and don't forget to like and subscribe, also comment if necessary.